There, this life preparator. And I just got a response, and he asked me to respond to this question from Samuel Banner. I hope I got the name right. His question is, what would I do? He says, Mrs. Prepper, what would you do at 3 o'clock in the morning if 7 soldiers came to take all your food? I think it depends on the location. It has a lot to do with it. If you're in a smaller community, it would be a lot easier for them to do that. To bring, if you're in a community of 1,500 or 2,000, and they're going to isolate and barricade, and they can barricade that town off, then they are going to come and take all that food, and they're going to put it all in one location. The drawback with that is this: if they take everybody's food, and they can go door to door and demand all the food supplies there is and take it to one location. But in a town of 80,000, 100,000, 2 million people, whatever it is, then you're going to have all these people that's got to go to that one designated area to get their food. Whether they set up a food line where you got to come there at a certain time to eat, or then they decide they want to break it down in boxes and designate the food out among everybody. The drawback on that is the way society is set up now. Back during the 60s, as late as the 60s, I think in the 70s, it kind of people started getting more away from canning. Back during the time when more people did raise their gardens, more people did can and put food up for the winter months. They had that on hand, but now people has gotten so used to going to restaurants to eat. They've gotten so used to going and buying frozen food and put up in the freezer. They put up food for the winter, but it's all in a freezer that they have. So taking all this, and you have to take in a factor is that these people would have to figure out where they can have a place to store all this food. This food that could go bad in that length of time. Now that's something you have to take into a factor there. Plus, you have all these restaurants and everything else along the way. The trying to barricade the areas off and sealing them off is not easy in a lot of cases, especially when there's so many different ways of getting out of some of the areas. A lot of areas can be barricaded off, especially when you get up in the backwood areas, the hill areas. You get up in like Manhattan or some of the other areas. People who only way off the islands is by ferry boat and things like that. It's a hard thing is it could very well happen. It could very well happen that you've got soldiers knocking from door to door and taking people's food and saying it all is going to go in one place and then we're going to distribute it out. Will it work? I don't know. I said society is different now. It's not like it was several years ago when just more people canned their food and put food up, preserved and dehydrated their stuff. When there was more people that did that, when women stayed home more and did all this stuff, but as times changed and women became more like single parents and began to have to work in the workforce even more as the computer age came around and the cost of living went up even more, and your desire to buy video games and all this other stuff has changed compared to the way it used to be. I think in all honesty, you go to most of these houses, most of these people buy food week for week. They don't stock up on any extras. I've got some friends that's the same way. They do not buy anything extra. They go to the store every other day, and what they have in there won't even feed you but a couple of days, few days or so. It just depends on how much they really have on hand. And if it's food that's in the freezer, then it could go bad. If the power goes out or whatever, then all the food in the freezer is gone. So it's a big question. You got a good point there. What would I do is seven soldiers showed up at my door demanding all my food. Well, first of all, they'll show up, they'll come in, they'll take it. Nothing I can do about it, but as I said, I do nature videos of things. I have the knowledge of being able to live off the land if I need to. And you say, what about if it's winter months? Well, winter months is going to be a tough one, but I want to tell you what, you can go 3 weeks without food, or 3 days without water. So if that means I've got to melt the snow down to have my water, if that means I've got to figure out how to get food to eat during the winter months, whether it means digging roots and digging up plants that I know that's out there, like daylilies. If I know where daylilies growing, I want to dig those roots up. I'll eat off those roots. You would do what you got to do to survive in a situation. There is 400 different types of grasses growing out there, Sam. 400 different types, and all of that is edible. And you can take the seeds off of these grasses, and you can make you roast them up. You can fish you up like a rice-like dish. You can grind them up and turn them into a flour. So it depends on when all this happens. There's ways of feeding yourself. The clovers that I'm harvesting now, that I'm grinding for the purpose of making my clover syrup, I can take those clovers and grind them up and replace my flour, 25% of my flour, with clover, dried up clovers, to make my flour last longer in a situation like that. There is ways to survive, but you have to be willing to be open-minded and to learn how to do other things and not just count on everything frozen. Another thing is not put your food all in one place. You just can't do that. You can't put your food in all in one place in a situation like that. If things go bad and the fire goes out and it's chaos, best thing you can do is put some of that food in different areas, because when they come in, they're going to tear the house apart, and they're going to look for the food. You're going to say, here, come and get it. So then you got to think about all that too. Then you got to think about, can you live off the land? Do you need to stay in the town, or do you need to leave the town? Do you need to go to the woods? There's a lot to think about. It's basic knowledge. If they're going to come and take our food, then we've got to figure out how to survive somehow. And that's through rainwater, through the plants that grows around us and have a knowledge of it. Is it going to be fancy eating? No. Am I going to survive? Yes. Will I lose some weight? Sure. I need to lose a few more pounds. Most of us do. But I hope that it never comes to that point, Sam. I hope they never knock at my door at 3 o'clock in the morning wanting to take my food. This is what I hope never happens. I can see it coming closer happening in a smaller community where the mayor or whatever decides that he's going to have everybody in this small community of 1,000 people or so and take all the food and demand everybody to be in one area. But in most cases, for the military and the government, it is more problems to put us all in one area than it is to let us be where we're at. And they will have FEMA camps set up, and they will set things up like that, and they will encourage you to come. So it could go either way. It could go either way. And a lot of it depends upon your knowledge. Unfortunately for most people, once their food's gone, they're going to starve to death, because they're not going to know what to eat out there. They're not going to know how to harvest it. They're going to starve to death. It is flat out. The thistles out there is one of the toughest plants there is, and they will be there long after many plants are gone. Will I get tired of eating thistle? Sure, but I want to survive. So if they come at 3 o'clock in the morning and they want the food, they can get it. Am I going to volunteer any of the hiding places I've got? No. If they find it, that's one thing. But if they don't, that's another thing. I'm not going to volunteer it. So, as way things have changed now, I think them harvesting food, going door to door and collecting everybody's food, would be a waste of time as things go for large communities, for huge populations, it would be a waste of time because so many people now just buy stuff for the freezers. They just buy it for a few days. I think they feel the same way. So I don't know. So Sam, what do you think on that? Do you think I answered your question, or does that open more questions? And how about some of you folks out there? Do you think it would be worth their time with the way things are now? This is Live Prepper here. I want y'all to be safe, be happy, bless you all.